Hey guys, this is your friend Daniel Kwame Pobi, GMT certified speaker, trainer, and coach. And I'm honored and glad to welcome you to this episode of HiCAD's Leadership 360. You can find our content on our website, www.hicadgh.com. You can also find us on Facebook, HiCAD Community. HiCAD Community. And then on YouTube, we also stream live on YouTube at my personal channel, Daniel Pobi. You access our content there. And yes, we are cruising on HiCAD's Leadership 360, where we discuss everything leadership and personal development. Now, last week we had a session. We looked at the hidden leader in you, the hidden leader in you, and it looked at the point that says that, look, trapped in every leader, trapped in every follower is a leader. Trapped in every follower is a leader. Hidden in every one of us is the capacity to lead, inherent ability to lead. All of us are born with it. That natural tendency to lead is inside of you, listening to me right now and watching me. It is there, it's inside of you. But you see, some people miss and confuse the position of leadership with the disposition of leadership. But those two are different. There is the position of it, and then there is the disposition. You can have, or in fact, you have that disposition. And genuine leadership is one's internal disposition. Your internal disposition is what will determine your ability to influence, your sense of purpose, your self-worth, your self-concept, your self-esteem. You were created to lead success. You were created to be a success, a leading success in every field of endeavor that you find yourself. You have what it takes to be at the top, at the very top of it. The potential is there, all right? That is the point. How you translate it is what we are going to look at tonight. But last week, we talked about the fact that some people have some reasons why they don't develop themselves as leaders, and they give themselves some excuses, like one says, I'm not born a leader. Some people also say, oh, I don't have the title, I don't have the security, anything can happen to me if I choose to lead. Some think that, oh, I need work experience before I can lead. Some also think that, oh, you give me position. When I get the position, then I'll begin to lead. And because of that, people do not get themselves to the place where they begin to show leadership, they begin to demonstrate leadership. And we said what leadership is. We talked about intentional influence, that we are intentional about it. It doesn't just happen. We also established that leadership is a verb. It is something that you do. Leadership is a verb. Leadership is situational. Leadership changes within context. The context determines how leadership plays out. And we also established that leadership is different from management. Leadership and management are not the same. The fact that someone has a position does not mean the person has the disposition of true leadership. And we also said that leadership is shared, leadership is distributional, and we said also that leadership is a skill that can be learned. You can learn it because it's a skill. Just like every other skill can be learned, you listening to me and watching me now, you can also learn leadership as a skill. All right, and we came to the point where we were called upon to make that decision to move from our past. The story about that young lion that was trapped in the kingdom of the sheep, and then it got to know that, look, I am created and destined to be the king of the jungle. There comes a time when you also need to make that decision, that conscious choice, that this is the trajectory that I also want to go. That inherent strength that is inside me, that I will also let it come out. But it happens when you get to understand yourself, when you get to know who you are. The moment you know who you are, you know what you were created for. So once again, let me remind you that Leadership 360 that HiCard has put together is designed to challenge you, for you to cross that river of your life, that river of fear, that river of intimidation and limitations, and enter the space of leadership and begin to exercise. Let that disposition show. That is what you were created to manifest. That is what you were created to do. This episode is on the spirit of leadership. The spirit of leadership. Leadership has a spirit. What is the spirit of leadership? That is what we are looking at in this episode. So this is the outline. We'll be looking at the fact that, look, you have to choose to manifest your leadership nature. And it's a book that Dr. Myles Munroe has written, and we are teaching from this book, all right? So number one, we'll be looking at the fact that you have to choose to manifest your leadership nature. Number two, that we are what we think, and we become what we continue to think. The impact of your thoughts. The impact of your thoughts. Number three, we'll be looking at the fact that your mind matters, and it controls how you manage matter. Your mind matters, and it controls how you manage matter. Number four, we'll be looking at the fact that you cannot give significance if you don't already have it. You can't give what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have. In a can, they will tell you that it's like saying that the one that is bare naked, if that person tells you he's going to give you a cloth, ask for his name one more time, because his name says I'm naked. But leadership really comes down to two main things, friends. Two things are involved. It's about who you are and what you think. Leadership boils down to these things: who you are and what you think. That is the summary of leadership, and it's about you discovering your identity, who you are. The fact that you are a born leader, and then understanding the way that true leaders think. There is a way that true leaders think so that you can also fulfill your inherent calling. It's a calling. It's not an act. It's not a role play that we are doing. Leadership is a calling. Now, if you don't first establish your leadership nature, it will be very difficult for you to have that mindset of leadership that we are talking about, for you to have that spirit of leadership that we are talking about in this episode. True leader is first concerned with who you are. That's leadership, who you are. As opposed to what you do. It's not about what you do, it's about who you are. Who you are is what you are. If you are punctual, you are punctual. That's who you are. It's your nature. It's about you and who you are. And then what you think. So leadership action flows naturally from a personal leadership revelation. If you see that you are a leader, you will lead. If you see that you are a lion, you will live as king of the jungle. And that is why that revelation of who you are is key to how far you can go as a leader. So to exercise leadership, you must believe that you are inherently a leader. You must believe that. Let that sink into your spirit that you are a leader, so that you can bring that to bear. You can manifest what you were born to be. So to pursue purpose, leaders have a way that they have a way that they go about it, all right? You must think like a leader. To think like a leader, you must receive the thoughts of leadership. For you to be able to think like a leader, you must receive the thoughts of leadership. To receive the thoughts of leadership, you must have a personal encounter with who you are, your true self. You must know who you are. If you don't know who you are, you will live as someone else. And you can't lead when your identity is in conflict. When your identity is in conflict, you cannot lead another person. How can you lead somewhere when you don't even know where you are going? But that is the essence of us as human beings, our nature, our ability, and our essence. That is when you find it, when you discover who you are, your nature, your ability, your essence as a human being, then you begin to lead. It's like saying that then you begin to occupy the space that you were created to occupy. Just like any product needs to know its purpose for it to be able to deliver what it's supposed to deliver, all right? That is the same way you and I also need to know who we are. And it's in who created you that you get to know who you are. It is in who created you that you get to know who you are. So point number one, I'm saying that you have to choose to be a leader. You need to choose to fulfill that leadership nature that is inside of you. That is my first point. It's a choice. You will need to choose to fulfill, to manifest that leadership nature that is inside of you. You need to choose. So having that leadership spirit means that you are naturally created to lead. It's a spirit that is inside you. That spirit of leadership is essentially different in that, when you talk about spirit of leadership, it's different from the leadership spirit. And the leadership spirit is what is inside us. But the spirit of leadership is how we bring that which is inside us out. That is what makes the difference between all of us, because we all have the potential. That is the leadership spirit. We all have the leadership spirit. Now, some people take the spirit of leadership, that disposition, and then they are able to manifest and fulfill. That spirit of leadership is what I'm talking about. That is why you need to choose. Because it's about the disposition. It's not about what you already have. That which you already have is that leadership spirit, which I'm saying we all have. But the spirit of leadership has to be cultivated. You have to choose to fulfill your leadership nature. Having the spirit of leadership means that you understand and then you demonstrate the mindset of a leader. The mindset of a leader. You are able to demonstrate the mindset of a leader. Even though you are naturally a leader, there are some things that you need to discover, and then you are in a position to operate as a leader. When you discover them, you begin to operate in them. It is like a seed that has never become a tree. It does not mean it is not a seed. If you put a seed on concrete slab and the seed is not germinating on the concrete slab, it does not mean that it's not a seed. It is just not in the right environment. All right? So the spirit of leadership is about the mindset, and that is about creating the right environment and ambience and atmosphere for you to thrive and for you to succeed. That is what we were created for. And that is why my first point is that you have to choose to manifest your leadership nature. What you have naturally, you have to choose to manifest it out there. So at some point, you see that a mother bird will push the baby bird outside. You either fly or you get out of this nest. You have to fly or you get out of the nest. And the mother will push its child out and force it to begin to fly. There comes a time when your natural abilities that are inside you, some way, somehow, you need to decide that I'm pushing that out and then begin to manifest the mindset, the spirit of leadership. It's a saying, we have what it takes. You can fly. You can fly. But you need to choose to fly. That is what this platform is about. Leadership 360, to get us to the place where we begin to fly. Manifesting the spirit of leadership and showing it out there is a matter of you discovering and nurturing your true self, who you are. Nurturing that and letting it manifest as evidence of who you are that is inside you. So the first point, we are saying that you have to choose to fulfill or manifest your leadership nature. Number 2 point I want to talk to you about in this episode is the fact that we are what we think and we become what we continue to think. I feel like going into Think and Grow Rich. We are what we think and we become what we continue to think. Friends, sometimes we think that, oh, if someone tells me that I'm a leader, then okay, I'm a leader. No, you are a leader. You don't need anyone to tell you that you're a leader before you know that you're a leader. You don't need anyone to say those words to you. The first issue is whether or not you will discover these truths. If you will just discover this truth, you will see how transforming your life will become. Then the second issue is, if you discover the truth, will you manifest it? That is the second issue. When you have discovered that truth, will you manifest it? Will you show it? Will you let that truth that you have discovered, like the lion that we spoke about in last week's session, it began to manifest after discovery? When you get to discover, will you manifest it? That is the second issue. So, see, on this air, there is a powerful something that we are talking about. And one of the things that is also very powerful is an idea, a thought. An idea, a thought. We are what we think. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are energy. A thought is energy. We become what we continue to think. You cannot rise above the plane of your mental conditioning. You can't rise above the plane of your mental conditioning. To change your life, you must change your mind. To change your life, you must change your mind. You must change the way that you think. And that is the spirit of leadership that we are talking about. The spirit of leadership is a mindset. The spirit of leadership is a mindset. It dictates your motivation. It dictates your motivation. The spirit of leadership it's revealed in one's response to your environment. How you respond to your environment, that is what shows the spirit of leadership that is inside of you. And I'm talking about spirit of leadership, and I'm saying again that it is a perception of oneself and the world. How you perceive the world, how you perceive your environment shows the spirit of leadership that is inside you. It's also about the convictions that regulate your thoughts about your own self and your world. What do you think about yourself? What is your self-concept? What do you think about your world, the world that you live in? What is your thoughts about yourself and your world? We are talking about the spirit of leadership, all right? And it's also about your personal philosophy for life. The spirit of leadership, because that is how you do the things that you do. Your thoughts, your private philosophy of life, your belief system. It is something that controls your behavior. The spirit of leadership That is what controls the things that you do. And it's the source of your actions, you get me? The source of your actions, the way it determines your response to your environment, the things around you, how you respond to them, how you react, how you respond, how you react. That is the spirit of leadership. What you have inside you determines how you respond and how you interpret the world, your mental conditioning. And so it's the source of action. Someone has said that a hard fall may mean a high bounce depending on the stuff you are made of. A hard fall may mean a high bounce depending on the stuff you are made of. The material you are made of will determine if you fall, whether you rise or you will stay where you are. You know, when we were young, we used to play some balls and we call one of them Chenesa. You know, Chenesa, we were playing it very, very hard. We had something that we call D-ball. You know, and there's something that we call a mind ball. And these different balls respond differently if you bounce it on the ground. Depending on the material you are made of, a hard fall could mean a high bounce. But that is the spirit of leadership. That is the spirit of leadership. If someone like David comes back from expeditions and comes to see that his base has been ransacked and the place has been burnt down and women and wives and children have been taken away captive. 2 of his wives have been taken away captive, and even the men that were with him thought of stoning him. And the Holy Scriptures will say that he encouraged himself. It tells you the material that he, David, was made of. That is the spirit of leadership that we are talking about. But we are saying that what we think, we are what we think, and we become what we continually think about. In this episode, I've shared 2 points so far. First one, I'm saying you have to choose to fulfill your leadership nature. And number 2, I'm saying we are what we think, and we become what we continually think. If I were you, I'll choose who I want to become and think about that continually, because that is what embodies the spirit of leadership. It's about mindset, your philosophies, what you think, what is so dear to you. But where does, we are talking about thinking, about the things, the thoughts that we have. Thoughts are things. Where do those things come from? Your thoughts, where do they come from? The funny thing is that they come from our environment, you see. So what someone is thinking is passed on to you. That is why I often say that, look, be careful who you listen to, because who you listen to matters. Who you listen to matters. Because I'm transmitting my thinking to you right now. I'm passing on some ideas to you right now. That is how you also catch certain thoughts and certain ideas come to you. Those are the sources. You listen to something on radio, you listen to some music, you listen to some sermon, whatever you are listening to and seeing, the images that you are seeing when they say travel and see, go to places and see places, it's because all those things feed into your thoughts. They feed into your thinking. There was this time a brother of mine, what you think, you are what you think. A brother of mine came to me. He had won a contract and he had just been paid. And then he came to me and said, well, Daniel, you see, I've won this and I've just executed this contract. This is my check. And I said, brother, so what are you going to use this money for? And then he said, well, first and foremost, I want to get myself a motorbike. And get a few things for my room, and then, well, we'll see the rest of the money, what we'll use it for. I said, what? You're going to get a motorbike? I said, this money that you have in your hands now, it can get you a parcel of land. You have 2 kids at this point, 2 children at this point. This money can get you a parcel of land. And at this point, even your first daughter is grown enough and is working. If you are able to tell your daughter that I have this parcel of land, can you help me to build? You can get something on that land. Instead of motorbike and all these other things that you have. Then it just dawned on me. It is the environment. The environment where my brother was working is what has influenced that thinking. It's what has influenced that thinking. In that environment, people make money and they are thinking about gadgets. Right? But what we think is who we are. And we become what we continually think. But what I'm saying is that these thoughts, these ideas, they come from our environment and they feed into us. There is a process. There is a 9-step process that we go through, all right? And I want to just share that with you. Number one is that a source transmits its ideas through words or images. The source of your thoughts, they transmit those ideas through words or images. Number two, these words or images, when they are heard or seen, transmit thoughts and ideas to our mind. That's step number two. Step number three, when these thoughts are formed or conceived, they become ideas. Ideas, when they are conceived, become ideologies. And ideologies, when conceived, they become beliefs. That's where we get belief system. That is number 5. Number 6, beliefs, when they are conceived, become convictions. I gave a teaching recently. I said, loving God with conviction. Beliefs conceived become convictions. Step number 7, convictions conceived become philosophies. It becomes your philosophy of life. That's step number 7. Step number 8, philosophies conceived become lifestyles. And guess what? Your lifestyle determines your destiny. Your lifestyle determines your destiny. Now, I'm moving to the third point. Because we are talking about your mind matters and it controls how you manage matter. We've seen how thoughts apply when they get into our lives. Now, I'm talking about your mind matters and it controls how you manage matter. Now, a careful study of people who have exemplified leadership and this process that we have just talked about, this 9-step process, will let you know that, look, it's a source of all that happens is our thoughts. It's a result of mindset. What we do is a result of mindset. It's a result of our attitudes and beliefs and convictions. These are what generally determine what we do in our lives. So it's remarkable that you and I can believe in what other people think, and that can be passed on to us. We can get indoctrinated or whatever means we get to a place where we begin. But that is why we are saying point number 3, your mind matters. And it controls how you manage matter. So the key to living effectively is receiving your thoughts from the correct source. Who you listen to matters. If you can receive your thoughts from the right source, you are safe. So when your beliefs come from the right source, you are safe. When they come from the wrong source, it's unfortunate. But point number 3, we are saying your mind matters and it controls how you manage matter. We are talking 4 points in this episode. The first one, you have to choose to fulfill your leadership nature. Number 2, we are saying we are what we think and we become what we continue to think. And number 3, we are saying, see, your mind matters and it controls how you manage matter. Last but not the least, you cannot give significance if you don't already have it. If you don't already have it, you cannot give it. If you don't have it, you can't give it. And that is why when people show hatred, you can guess that they hate themselves. When people show love, you can guess that they love themselves. The Holy Book, Jesus, when they asked him, what is the greatest thing? What is the duty of all mankind? He quoted what is written in Deuteronomy. He says that the first and greatest commandment is to love God. And the second is exactly like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself means that you will love yourself, and then you will be able to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So number 4, you cannot give significance if you don't already have it. Friends, we are talking about the spirit of leadership. And it boils down to mindset. Who you are and what you think. Who you are and what you think. And we are saying that it's purely about discovering your identity as a born leader and understanding the way that true leaders, they think, so that you can fulfill your inherent calling. If you don't first establish your leadership nature, it will be very difficult for you to have that mindset, the spirit of leadership. It comes down to 4 main issues. Number 1, we are saying you have to choose to manifest your leadership nature. Number 2, we are what we think, and we become what we continue to think. Number 3, your mind matters, and it controls how you manage matter. You cannot, number 4, you cannot give significance if you don't already have it. It's been a joy coming your way, and we believe that this has been worth your while. Catch you again next week, Saturday, same time, 8 p.m. GMT, and we are live together with you. Stay well, be blessed, and take care. Bye-bye.